Welcome everyone to the Women's World Cup 2025. This is a tournament here with some of the best chess players on the planet in women's chess. On your screen is the youngster K Priyanka. She is a fine player and she's making her debut at the World Cup. In the normal classical games, her opponent is here, Gaal Zsoka from Hungary. And a handshake in the classical games, it was 1-1, and it's now time for tie breaks. Tie breaks are 15 minutes plus 10 seconds increment, two games. In case of 1-1, you move it to a shorter time control. Then in case of 1-1, you move into further shorter time control. So 10 minutes, then 5 minutes, and we go on. So let's see if Priyanka manages to get the better of her higher rated opponent. She's rated 2090. Her opponent is rated 2383. A handshake and we begin. Priyanka opens with 1 e4, c6 the Karo Khan, d4, d5, and the pawn pushes forward to e5. Bishop comes out to f5, and Priyanka goes h4, h6 played, and now we move to the new position here where queen to d3 attacking the rook here. The knight comes out to f6. White has managed to build a very nice pressure on the g6 pawn here, g6 square. c4 played by Gaal, and in comes the check. King comes up to d7. Priyanka already doing really well. Knight to f4 played, and knight comes out to c6, and she pushes her pawn to c3. It's a little bit weird for the black king to be on d7, and Priyanka pushes her pawn here so that if queen takes queen, she can take back with the pawn. Queen moves away to b8, and king d1 played. Very interesting chess here. And after pawn to e5, Priyanka brings her queen to f5. The black king is in big trouble. King e8, and moving on to the next position, the attack has gone through. She takes here, bishop takes, and although black is like materially in trouble, but the position of the king is also huge trouble. Check, king d8, and a check here, king c8. She gives a check, and it's leading to a checkmate now. King e6, queen d6. Priyanka scores the first win. An excellent win here as she takes the lead in the match. Now it will be interesting to see if Gaal manages to come back. If Priyanka manages to draw in the next game, she will be through to the second round. This time now Gaal will have the white pieces. A handshake and we begin. She opens with c4, pawn to e6, d4. We have the queen's gambit declined. Knight to f3, knight f6, c takes d5, e takes d5, knight comes out to c3, and pawn to c6 played. Moving on to the fresh position here, bishop e5. Priyanka takes it, and now knight takes, and she can actually come back with her knight, but I think she blunders with g4, just giving up a pawn. And it's the pressure of qualifying. Queen g5 comes in, putting pressure on the knight. Pawn to h3, defending the knight, and rook g8 played. White is building up a huge advantage here. Black castles, and Gaal as castles as well. Priyanka now pushes f5, but her position worsens after knight to e5. She plays knight f6 and knight to e2 as we move on towards the final part of the game. Pawn to c5 played, takes, rook takes c5. By now the position is still interesting. Bishop takes e4, d4. Priyanka can get a better position here. She takes it. She's doing well. Queen e2 played, and now rook gc8. She goes rook a5, b3, rook c8, queen d2, bishop a3, and she blunders a complete rook. Oh my goodness, what a big blunder. This is pure pressure of qualification, and Gaal Zsoka is going to equalize the scores here. Queen comes back, and what an unfortunate turn of events there. Priyanka was so close to having a very good position. Rook comes up, and now rook to c1, and Priyanka resigns here. 1-1 as we move into the next phase of this match. Well, not easy, these World Cup tie breaks. To get into one round, the next round itself is such a huge task. The 15 plus 10 section has ended in 1-1. We now move to 10 plus 10 section. Let's see how this pans out. A handshake. This time Gaal has the white pieces in game 1. She opens c4, e6 played, d4, d5, queen's gambit declined, knight to f6. She takes on d5, pawn takes d5, knight comes out to c3, and c6 played here, bishop to g5. Let's move on to the next position here in this game. After king c2, it seems like Priyanka is getting a great position. She moves in with a check, king b3, king c7 played, and now this king is weak. She goes rook f2, but rook b1, forcing b3, and then trying to trap the knight would have been much better. Rook b2, she takes on b7, rook takes b2 here, and somehow black is still better. King b4, and you don't need to take the knight, but she takes it, and this allows her opponent to equalize. And again things become equal as we move on to the last part of this game. Check, king up, check, king back, and a draw has been agreed here. So a draw between the two players, and we move on to the second game now of 10 plus 10 segment. This time Priyanka has the white pieces, and if she manages to win, she will make it through to the second round. e4, and we have the Caro-Kann. Gaal persists with her Caro-Kann opening, and Priyanka has some interesting preparation always. Bishop d3 takes, queen takes d3, check, and she comes up with this very interesting idea, b4, a pawn sacrifice. Her opponent doesn't take it. e6, wow, insane play here by her. Takes, pawn takes, giving up the pawn on e6, and you can see that structurally it has led to a very interesting position here. So she plays here rook to a8, the knight comes to d8. White is better, the pieces are beautifully positioned now. Bishop c3 played, and rook to g8. The bishop comes back to d2. Can Priyanka convert her slightly better position here? Rook h8, and knight comes back to h3. Slowly and steadily she is putting pressure. Knight d7, and she goes bishop f4 with a check. King comes up, knight to g5, and knight to f7. She takes the rook, knight takes h8, and now we reach the very important pawn endgame here, where white is equal. She plays pawn to f3. Now king d5 is an important move. She plays it. g4 pushes the pawn, and now taking on g4, super important. But Gaal blunders, and g5 is winning now. g5 is completely winning, but she takes on h5. Priyanka misses her chance. She misses that moment where she could have actually qualified to round 2. Takes, and actually they have now gone into this endgame where it's equal, agreed to a draw, and now we are down to the last third tie break here, which is after 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and we are on to 5 minutes plus 3-second increment. We have Gaal here, c4, e6, d4, d5, knight comes out to f3, knight to f6, pawn takes pawn, knight c3, and pawn to c6. The bishop comes out to f4, h6, and bishop h4. This is the 5 minutes plus 3-second increment. e3, knight d7, and we move on to this moment where check, knight e3, pawn takes. Priyanka is winning now. She deflected the knight and the h pawn is queening. She makes a queen and she takes the lead in the match. She's now leading 1-0, and all that she has to do in this game, next blitz game, is draw in order to qualify. She will also have the white pieces. What a performance by Priyanka. She's fighting so hard. Brilliant. And now here the handshake, 5 minutes plus 3 seconds increment, knight f6, the Alekhine defense. So the Caro-Kann is out now. It's time for the Alekhine. Knight b6. Priyanka goes for the 4-pawn attack. Wow, what an aggressive position. And she brings knight out to f3. These are the kinds of positions that Priyanka excels in. She loves to attack. She's free flowing there, puts the bishop on d4. c5, good move by Gaal. Bishop comes back to f2. Takes on e5. Pawn takes. And now knight comes to d7. e6 played. Going all in. Take on e6. And Priyanka takes back. Black is already better after knight e5. But she takes on e6. This allows Priyanka to move her knight forward. Knight g5. You can see the confidence with which she's playing. Bishop g8. Queen comes to e2. And now, by the way, knight c4 is hanging. But opponent goes knight e5. The rook comes to d1. Queen c8. Queen e4 played. h6. The knight jumps back to f3. Takes on f3. Pawn takes f3. And bishop f7. Goes rook g1, putting pressure here. Black is still doing very well, but castles. And bd3, maybe some sacrifice on g6. Knight to d7, she jumps in with the knight, attacking the pawn on e7. Takes on d5, queen d5, check. King comes to h8, she takes on g6 with the rook. The knight goes to f6, Priyanka is winning now. She's better and she already has a 1-point lead in the match. She might be able to win this and cause an upset here. Queen g3, but she needs a draw, so that's fine. Opponent doesn't want to trade. Bishop e2, queen goes to f7, bishop to c5. She takes the pawn. Guys, the heart rates are rising. Knight h5, queen comes up. Knight f4. She takes on g7. Takes. And now bd4 would have won the queen if not for e5. Takes the queen, king takes. Bishop e5, the position is equal. That's what Priyanka needs. She doesn't need anything more. King g6. Rook check. King f5. Takes on f4. King takes f4. And moves the king to f2. Pushes the pawn. Black has some realistic chances in this endgame. She's exchanged down Priyanka, but she's fighting. She has 2 pawns for it. A rook trade might not be a good idea, so she keeps the rooks. King f5 played. And rook d7 attacking the pawn on b7, rook e8. Bishop moves up with a check. White is suddenly pressing here. Rook takes b7, good move. She goes rook d8. And now putting the bishop on that central square. Rook d2 check, king e3. And now rook comes to h2. Plays b4. Rook takes pawn. c5 played. And the c pawn is super strong. a5 pushes forward. She pushes c6. Now ab4. Oh, the pawn flies. She presses their clock. It's equal now. c7, rook c2, important move. But the pin rook, it's pinned here, but she blunders. It's now check, king e7, and rook c6. She finds it, and Priyanka is totally winning now. Check, king d4, and there's no way you can stop the queen. Takes, bishop takes, and the rook goes back. She takes the rook. She loses that pawn, but the king comes in here to c5, to c4, and Priyanka K has made it to the second round. What a game, what a match this was, and amazing play. She now faces Claudia Coulon, and she becomes the 8th Indian to qualify. We have 5 Indians directly seeded, 4 Indians directly seeded to round 2, and then we also have Vantika, Padmini, Nandida, and now Priyanka, who has made it. 8 out of 9 Indians have qualified.